I survived my flooded apartment. Christian Fleischman, 33. I finally climbed into bed at 1:20 in the morning. It was July 15th, 2021, and my friends had helped me celebrate my 31st birthday in the basement apartment of my sister's home, where I lived. Earlier in the day, I had prepared for the unlikely event of a flood. We are about a third of a mile from the banks of the HR River in Sinzig, Germany. It had been raining buckets that week, and authorities had issued a flood warning, though not for where I was. Still, I'd placed sandbags on the floor outside my garden door and piled electronics and clothing on tables and the couch just in case water managed to seep through. Before my friends left, they laughed at me for doing that, but I thought, why take a chance? As I drifted off to sleep, I was awakened by the sound of rushing water, as if I were lying beside a waterfall instead of in my bedroom. When I swung my legs off the bed, I was shocked by the sensation of cold water lapping against my knees and rising fast. It has to be from a burst pipe in the bathroom, I thought. Shivering and in darkness, I grabbed my cell phone and turned on the flashlight. When I stepped from the bedroom to the hallway, I saw it wasn't a burst pipe at all. Instead, water was shooting through the gaps of the garden door that leads from my living room to a set of concrete stairs up to the backyard. The water must have breached the sandbags. All around me, my things began to float by. Chairs, bookshelves, pieces of my drum set. I admit it, I began to panic. The AHR, usually such a quiet, slow-moving river, had violently burst its banks, and now I had to get out. Fast. Any effects of the celebratory drinks I'd had earlier were now gone. Fear sobered me right up. I heard the garden door starting to crack and splinter under the pressure of the flood. The sound was like nothing else. Screeching, hissing, and crashing all at once. It was relentless, and the water was now up to my waist. In bare feet and with my boxer shorts plastered to my body, I started to wade to my only escape, the door that leads upstairs to the rest of the house. All around me things were breaking, the lamps were shattering, the cupboards were being torn apart. Finally, I made it to the door. I tried to pull it open, but the force of the water wouldn't let me. I tried several times to pry it open even just a little bit, but the rushing water slammed it shut again. I looked around for anything I could use to wedge the door open. There in the corner were a broom, a coat rack, and a huge, heavy sword from a medieval fair. I grabbed them all and, once again, pried open the door, throwing the broom and coat rack between the door and the frame to keep the door from shutting, and using the sword to wedge it open some more. I managed to make a gap of about a foot, just wide enough to squeeze through and make it into the hallway. In the pitch black, I leaped onto the stairs leading up to the rest of the house and ran to the third floor, where my sister lived. I knocked on her door, calling for her, trying to see if she was okay, until I remembered that she wasn't home that night. That's when I went downstairs to the main floor and ran outside. I stood there in the darkness, soaked and panting. What was once a lovely, cozy street was now a waterscape, with floating debris and trees instead of people and cars. The river had drowned the neighborhood, and if I had woken up just a few minutes later, I would have drowned along with it. We've been assured that something like this happens only once every 100 years. I hope so. More than 180 people died, and parts of villages in the region were entirely washed away. These days, I'm living at my parents' place in the middle of town and sleeping in my dad's office. I study psychology at a university and work with children in schools, teaching them martial arts. I can never go back to live in that apartment because I just keep thinking, what if it does happen again? We didn't have flood insurance because the house wasn't considered to be located in a high-risk area, so we're fixing it up on our own. My old apartment, once it's dried out and repaired, will house my martial arts school. Many of the houses around us were destroyed, including, tragically, a home for the handicapped. Not everyone got out. I came close to drowning that day, but rather than dwell on that, I prefer to recall what my mother told me afterward. Christian, don't remember the day when you lost everything. Remember the day you survived.